Assalamu alaikum students, welcome back to Global Public School online classes. In our previous class we had started the new lesson, that's labor. We talked about the meaning, importance of labor, we talked about the division of labor, we talked about the discrimination of the labor, and in my last class we were discussing about the labor with pay and without pay. In the today's class of ours we are going to discuss about the organized sector labor and the unorganized sector. Let's see what is the organized and the unorganized sectors of labor means in this class of today. Students, the labors from the organized sector means the labor sector is being divided normally it's been divided as a primary, secondary and a tertiary sector. Primary sector comes into the agricultural sector, fishing, mining, all that. Secondary sector normally comes at weaving, manufacturing, all that. Tertiary sector comes into insurance, teaching, all that sector that you have already studied in 8th standard. I am just giving a quick recap on it. And similarly, based on the securities and the facilities available, the labor sector is now further divided into two types. One is the organized sector and another one is unorganized sector. So let's see what is that. The first thing we are going to study here is organized sector. Students, the first and the foremost important here in this information is this sector is affiliated to government. The sector which is enrolled as per the law of the government and provides a fixed wages facilities within the framework of the law is called organized sector. I mean, which follows the complete rules and regulations of the government. That sector we call that as organized sector. You can see some of the images popping up here. And this sector is guided by the Minimum Wages Act, Part3 Act, Special Allowance Act, Provident Fund Act and many other acts in support of the laborers. And some of the examples of organized sectors are schools, hospitals, industries, government related services, commercial banks, life insurance, companies, military and others. Teachers, hospital, industries, government related services, commercial banks, life insurance, companies, military and others. These are the biggest examples for the organized sectors. And here this sector has to take the permission from the government before it starts and functions. It is also mandatory for them to pay the taxes on time. It is the responsibility of the institution to provide the special facilities and to provide the better employment work for their workers. And it is a mandatory in the organized sector for them to provide a pay on the specified dates along with overtime pay. Whenever the worker have worked more than a stipulated time, then we call that as overtime. Then this sector is actually guided by the legal modalities, and the relationship between the employer and employees is guided by the legal provisions here. And in that's completely in the organized sector. The next sector is of unorganized sector. Let's see here, students. The unorganized sector, people who comes up here is workers, loading people, unloading people, brick construction workers, landless laborers, small and marginal farmers, fishermen, BD workers, mine workers, etc. All these people comes under the unorganized sectors, I mean who don't have the fixed working hours, who need not to get registered if they want to open their companies, all that. Correct? So anything which is not enrolled under the government of law, we call that as the unorganized sector. Here they will have the minor transactions, vehicle repair, selling of goods like vegetables, all that comes in the labors of the unorganized sectors, puncture repair, and the other belongs to this sector. You can see the images which is popping up here. So normally in the unorganized sector of work is that the sector where legal provisions do not completely required. In this sector, the relationship between the employer and employee is not guided by the legal provisions. There is no need for the registrations. This sector does not follow any legal provisions of the government, and they need not to pay any tax to the government here. Let me just give you a quick recap on the organized and unorganized sector. If normally this question will be arised in your exams, mention the difference between the organized and unorganized sector. Students, organized sector enrolled with the government, unorganized sector is not enrolled with the government. Organized sector pays the tax to the government, unorganized sector does not pay the tax to the government. Organized sector follows the Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act, all the other acts which comes under the government rules and regulations. Unorganized sector will not do that. Organized sector employees will work for the fixed hours, they'll get the pay for it and on time on the date which is specified. Unorganized sectors, they don't have the fixed working hours. Organized sectors, they have the facilities like special allowance, PF, ESI, all that, but unorganized sectors, they don't have that. Organized sectors, they have to go through with the legal provisions of the government whenever they are opening, but here it's not required. So these are the highlighting examples or highlighting the differences of organized and unorganized sectors. You can write the examples of organized sector here and unorganized sector here. The next concept coming up here is of problems of unorganized sector. The first problem of unorganized sector here is there is no fixed time of duration for this work. As I said, moreover they work day and night without a break. Most of the laborers in this sector earn daily wages. The minimum wages in this sector usually stays below the mandatory pay and the fixed pay by the government. The laborers won't receive any medical benefit or overtime benefit. They do not get any paid leave. Nothing here. So what are the challenges faced by the unorganized sector here is, the first biggest challenge is migration, moving from one place to another place. In the book Foot Losses, a study of circular migration is done. It studies that labor of people working in unorganized sectors normally, and it also studies the inevitability of the people to migrate from one place to another place in the search of the jobs. Migration is nothing but it's the main feature of unorganized sector, where the people move from one place to another place in the search of job. That we call that as migration. So you can see the people sitting there, the people coming from one state to another state in search of the job, and if they don't find the job they will go back. I think you might have seen during the lockdown, corona time, most of the people, they went back to their places, they went back to their natives, because most of the people from unorganized sectors, they cannot stay here because they are not getting the fixed salaries or anything. So they are from unorganized sector, so they moved back, and all that was happening. The first point was, the first challenge faced by the unorganized sector is migration. Second is social security. Unorganized sector workers face the social insecurity because the minimum money required to lead a housing, health, water, food, drinking water, equal opportunity to work, all that is not available for them. Providing these facilities universally and publicly is called social security, but unfortunately this social security is not there for the unorganized sector. That is the big challenge here. Legal framework for workers working in unorganized sectors, many legal provisions does not apply. For example, these workers do not receive a wages according to the Wages Act. The wages as per the payment of gratuity 1971 are not available for them, and apart from this, ideally speaking, they are not getting anything. PF, ESI, gratuity, nothing. The legal, it's not under the legal framework, so they are not getting anything. This is the big challenge for them. And the child labor, the another important problem of unorganized sector is child labor. Children working in the unhealthy environment here on many skilled and semi-skilled workers. For example, children work in more numbers in firecrackers production. They work in a dangerous environment without any guarantee for life. The capitalism expects more work for less. Obviously, any owner who want to produce the product, he wanted to reduce the cost of manufacturing to earn the more profit. So obviously the people who will be available at a lesser cost, they will be hiring them. So here child labor will be most of the time available for the lesser cost. So the capitalism expects the more work for less pay. So because of this also children became the victims of this here and in the unorganized sector normally. The biggest problem comes up in the unorganized sector is physical and mental exploitation. Most of the women in the unorganized sector work as a domestic helpers. The rate of physical and mental exploitation of these women has doubled seriously these many years. As per the statistics of 2014-15, more than 70% of the women working in unorganized sectors are exploited. Women are exploited sexually. Such incidents are being reported on a regular basis, but if it's a government offices or if it is something which is of organized sector, they will have the separate cell or a department relating to the harassment cases. But in the unorganized sectors, that kind of things are not available. Some of the problems are again faced are, which I have discussed in the above, are here. That's all about this lesson, students. I want you to read this lesson again. Meaning of labor, division of labor, and the discrimination, the problems what they have faced, labor with pay, without pay, and the next important thing is organized and unorganized sector labors, differences, and the problems or the challenges faced by the unorganized sectors. Students, I want you to write the explanatory notes of this lesson. Send it to me through the Google Classroom app. If you have any doubt also, please share it to me through the Google Classroom app or through the WhatsApp. Till that, students, stay safe, stay home, and keep your learning button on. Remember one thing, students, our schools are only closed, our brains are not closed. So make sure you keep your learning button on. There is no age for learning, students. So make sure you don't keep any hurdle, you don't keep any thing in the mind that I don't want to learn or anything like that. Students, it's your time to learn. Whenever you get any kind of information, whenever you get learning from outside, please learn it. Thank you so much, students. Allah Hafiz. Signing off.